Welcome to day 226 of TFIF 365. And today I'm just gonna talk to you today about some things that I've been processing since coming up with the language for me of coalition of the wounded. Because it's not just in this political context that it matters. Because this is a term, it's funny that it took politics or political situation for me to come up with a term that best helps me explain what I mean when I talk about coalition building community building, and then particularly welcoming and psychological safety in organizations, right? Because what we have is a coalition of the wounded. We have a coalition of the wounded in these organizations and in these movements. But I want to step back from the political today, to open up the lens of supremacy-free, coercion-free, discrimination-free, and exploitation-free, so that you understand what I mean, or how I connect the coalition of the wounded to organizational efforts, failures at welcoming psychological safety, or or being able to build the community that helps organizations innovate, differentiate, and be profitable. So this was one of the issues that I had with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those efforts don't work when you don't have a community effort moving forward. When it's just these people in these roles, most times who did not have authority to make decisions alone, autonomy to make decisions alone, authority to make those decisions, and resources to actualize whatever decisions they decided to make. That was my main problem with DEI, outside of the fact that majority of those people in those roles and leadership in those roles were white women who really do not have the lived experience to create a community or create policies, procedures, and processes that allow for welcoming and psychological safety. And one of the reasons why I harp on welcoming and psychological safety is because the goal of business is to create a product or service that can be exchanged for something of value, right? And that something of value in those exchanges, the goal is to make a profit, so that it is a living business. So it's something that you can leverage for other resources. There are a lot of reasons why a profitable business is necessary beyond just hoarding money, right? People like work. They don't like working in the environments we find ourselves in, but people fundamentally like being of value. They fundamentally like using their knowledge and skills in service to other things. That's the overwhelming majority of people. So I take issue with the fact when we, again, use the binaries, because business is not the problem. Capitalism as a theory is not a problem. It's been how it's been implemented, particularly in the United States, to justify the annihilation of indigenous people and the enslavement of Africans. And so and I'm saying all this because I want you to see the various ways that folks are wounded, and then they come together and try to work in a space to have one goal, right? Which is to make a business profitable, be innovative, differentiate, and be profitable, right? And if those are the three goals, when you have a coalition of the wounded, there's some things you need to do. And just saying on the website that we're a family, or reciting that in an all hands or a stand up, doesn't mean absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing, because when you're dealing with a coalition of the wounded, they're wounded for a reason, right? And yes, work may not be the appropriate place for them to unpack that and process that, but work should also not be a place that exacerbates that. that traumatizes people more, that continues to harm, that elevates unfairly, because I don't like to use the word fair. And the reason I don't like to use the word fair is the same reason. The people who benefit from systems, institutions, and policies at the expense of everybody else get to define what fair is. See, even the term fair isn't fair, because who gets to define what fair is, right? Those people in power. And so this is where the breakdown happened, particularly when I'm looking at tech. when everybody seems to be surprised that these mediocre, unremarkable white dudes in leadership all of a sudden went from old liberal kumbaya to full-on white supremacist, authoritarian stances. It's because they never had pushback. When you bring in the wounded, they're going to tell you why they're wounded, how they're wounded, and if you're wounding them, they're going to let you know, right? And now you can't be the good white boy, good white dude, because now you have a mirror in your face that says that you're not just complicit. Some of you are actually actively engaging in harming the wounded, the people within your organizations. And that needs to shift. That needs to change. That term encompasses a lot for me on the personal and the professional. On the collaborative in business wise, as well as in organizational communities, grassroots, even in teams, right? When you think about sports, we just went through the Olympics. You think about sports. There were some things that happened in the Olympics which highlighted that there are coalitions of the wounded, right? And I'll just use for one example, the instance of I hope I get the country right. Again, the ADHD. I think it's Algeria, who had the boxer who people were saying was trans because a white woman got hit in a boxing match. What? And then now she's won gold, and now she's having to. Well, I'm not going to say having to, but it's her right. She's suing the people who defamed her. Because in her country, being trans is not only illegal, it is deadly. And these people, without thinking, there we go. I'm defaulting to benefit of the doubt, which I will not do. Because one of the players in that, J.K. Rowling, should know, because she's been doing it for such a long time, the impact and the danger her words has. So, again, that was a coalition of the wounded. You bring all these people together and want to have this global kumbaya moment, and there are people who are in the coalition who are targeting and harming folks who've already been targeted and harmed. So, this really scratches my researcher brain. And again, I've been asking what's next for me. I think diving into this coalition of the wounded is something I really want to address. Because it goes across industries, it goes across spaces. Again, when I'm saying professional or personal, and you could be in a sorority or fraternity, you could be at a church, you could be in a university. There's so many places where the coalition of the wounded are thrown together and are expected to differentiate, innovate, and make a profit. And profit does not have to be money, right? The profit doesn't have to be money. Whatever you think is profitable, that's the goal of that thing. So, that's what I'm teasing about. And so I'll continue to talk about that. So until tomorrow, peace. Become a sustaining sponsor at kimcreighton.com/support-the-work and help make this work happen.